welcome back to Project Independence in You Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We have a very special guest with us right now. We have Senator Anna Kaplan. Anna Kaplan represents District 7, and Anna is was a former council person for the Town of North Hempstead and a dear friend of Project Independence in You. And I know I see Anna at all our senior events, and always there and, listening to, all of our residents. So we're just happy to have you join us today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Rebecca. And thank you, Kristina, and thank you, Otto. Thank you for this opportunity again. And I have to say, once a North Hempstead person, council member or not, you're always a North Hempstead person.
That's right. That's right. There's so many things I want to hear about you. So some of our listeners who may not be familiar with you or would just like to hear, I mean, your life story is so amazing. So if you could just spend a few moments, just letting us know your whole experience. And then we do want to hear about some important updates in your district as well.
Absolutely. So I came to this wonderful country at age 13. This was end of 1979. After the Iran Revolution. I came with 39 other young adults or people my age through the Lubavitcher community. And there was a concern about Jews in Iran, and that's why my parents decided to make the very difficult decision and send me. And it took about 2 years till they were able to come, because even though they left only 6 months after I had left, it hit right the time that they took the hostages, and they were not able to get a visa for another year and a half. I went to high school in Chicago. We moved to New York. I went to college. I went to law school. I got married to a wonderful man named Darren Kaplan, and we settled in Nassau County, and we raised our 2 daughters here, and who got a wonderful public education. And I went on to run. I was very active at the school where my kids were students, in elementary school, preschool, high school. And then I was asked to run for the library board in Great Neck, which I did. And then I was put in on the Town of North Hempstead zoning board, and served on that board for about a year and a half. And the opportunity became available to run for the council seat that I lived in, which was council seat number 6, representing Great Neck and Manhasset. I ran for that in 2011. I succeeded. I served for 4 years. I ran for re-election in 2015. I was able to again win with big numbers. And then in 2018, I decided to run for New York State Senate District 7. And I was able to flip the seat and win the seat, and have been serving in New York State Senate for this district for the last 4 years. And I'm running for re-election again for another 2 years.
Anna, are there any changes in what District 7 is from a state point of view, just for our listeners?
Absolutely.
There seems like there's a lot of confusion.
Yes.
All of a sudden we have new boundaries for lots of things.
Yes. So District 7, Otto, was definitely changed. I have 40% new district.
Wow.
And I'll name the district for you. It starts with Great Neck, Manhasset, Roslyn, Port Washington, New Hyde Park, a small piece of Floral Park. Then it goes half of Mineola, Glenhead, Glen Cove, Sea Cliff, Greenvale, Mutton Towns, Brookville, Jericho, Syosset, and part of Plainview, and all of Old Westbury.
If our listeners, let's say, might be like their particular home where they live, how would they find out, like, my house is here? What district am I now in? Is there any suggestion you could give?
Yes, if you go on New York State Senate website, you can type in, they'll ask you for your zip code, and you can ask, who's my senator? I don't know whether that is reflective of the new district yet, because those will become really in existence as of January. But you will definitely, because now it's election time, I do have a primary, and right now we're in the primary season. With primary election date is August 23rd. We also, I think all of your viewers should know that there is a big primary for the congressional seat, that they should go out and vote if they haven't. If they see my name on the ballot, that's District 7, and that's gonna be the district that I'm running for and wanting to be their senator.
Okay.
Not every state Senate seat has primary. Mine is the only one that has a primary here in Long Island.
Now, here's an important question, all right? Who's going to play Anna Kaplan in your movie of your life story, which is very interesting?
Oh, you're so kind, Otto. You're so kind. I don't know. I never even thought about the book, let alone movie.
Well, I think it would make
These
an
are the
interesting
hard-hitting
story.
questions, Anna, you need to be thinking of.
Yeah.
You know, who is going to play you?
Somebody really, really cute.
Yeah, well, we'll have to come up with that, because actually, Kristina just pointed out to me that you've been on, this is the 6th time you've been on Project Independence and You. So, we look forward to having you back to talk about the book and the movie. And, Otto is available to be your agent. But I want to talk to you about some of your greatest accomplishments, because it's been 4 years that has been unlike anything that any of us could really recall. I mean, with COVID, the pandemic, starting out in a more kind of normal way, and then going through what you did. And you've always been out there. So, I mean, I'd love to know some of your greatest accomplishments while in office.
Thank you. Honestly, I am truly privileged to do what I do, to represent 330,000 people. It is amazing to say you come to this country, that I've come to this country as a Jewish political refugee, and I hold one of the highest offices in New York State. This is truly an American story. I'm grateful for all the opportunities that I've had. And I ran because I wanted to make sure these opportunities are available to the generations that are coming forward. I remember it was a difficult decision for me to run for New York State Senate, but I really saw that this district was not being represented and the voices of people were not being heard. We needed to make sure we codify Roe in state of New York. And because state Senate was under leadership of Republicans, they wouldn't bring the vote to the floor for a vote. And I respect everyone's view as how they think they should vote and how to represent the district. But I think it's imperative to have some of these legislations come to the Senate floor to be heard, and then obviously the representatives vote on it. 4 years ago when I ran, I remember one of the interviews I went to, they asked me, why are you running? And my answer was, I want to make sure we codify Roe in state of New York. I don't want to leave anything to chance. And the person who was interviewing me said to me, that's never going to change. Roe is law of the land. They're not going to flip that anytime. 3.5 years later, look at where we are right now. And I am so happy to have been part of a conference that we actually got Reproductive Health Act passed in state of New York in 2019, and we codified Roe. Now our next mission is to make sure that we put it in our Constitution, the Equality Rights Amendments, which is not just to make sure that we enshrine abortion in New York State Constitution, but it's also about the LGBTQ rights and rights of everyone. So we already passed it in this past legislative session. We have to do it one more time next year, and then we put it out for our residents to vote on. So it's imperative that we be able to do this again next year. This is one of the things that I always think about, that we were instrumental in codifying Roe in state of New York. And I believe it's irrespective of what it should be. It shouldn't be about me. It should be about all the people that I represent, and giving a choice to women to make those decisions with their families and with their physicians and do what's right for them. My other issue that I'm very passionate about is sensible gun laws. I can't tell you, one of my proudest moments in my entire life was the first bill, my first bill in New York State Senate floor was a gun bill. And when we came in, we had a whole package of over 10 laws that we want to make sure we pass in New York to keep our communities and our residents safe. It's been really amazing to have been part of this conference, and we have done so much with this conference in the state. We've moved New York forward. We look at our voting rights. New York was one of the worst, and now it's one of the best. There's still a lot of work for us to do, and I'm convinced that we can do this. I'm convinced that I will be part of that to make those changes. I know this last 2 years have been really difficult for a lot of my residents, for a lot of residents in state of New York with the pandemic. But we're putting it behind us. We have all of the different tools to help people who come down with COVID. I'm hoping that people go and get vaccinations when they're appropriate for them, and they listen to their physicians and to the Department of Health for guidelines and guidance as to what they need to do to keep themselves safe. It's going to take all of us working together to put this behind us. I've done some amazing things to help the small businesses and my residents. I remember that when COVID started and we went into shutdown, there was so much uncertainty and unknown, and there were so many misinformations out there. My staff and I worked really hard every day, putting a newsletter together, giving updates, current updates to people as to what was happening and what they needed to do to keep themselves, their families safe, and also to move forward, whether it was with their businesses or whether it was their just households and how they needed to move forward. Those are really things that I've been very passionate about and have worked really hard. The list is really long, and as I speak, more ideas come up. Environment, I think, has been a huge issue, especially for Long Island, especially in a time that we're seeing the 500-year storms happening every year now. We need to do more. We need to make sure that we're doing everything in our possibility to save the earth for the generations to come.
I was on with you a couple of years ago, maybe, and you probably don't remember this, but you educated me personally about ghost guns.
Yes.
I really had minimal knowledge about the topic, and I think you've made some progress as far as that's concerned. And maybe you could just kind of tell us what that was about.
Yes. So 2 years ago, I had a bill that required banning of ghost guns. These are 80% finished receivers. These are guns that you can sit behind a computer, order a gun that's 80% finished, order it online. It comes to your house within 3 days with a DVD that can show you how to assemble it in less than an hour. And you could have had a fully automatic weapon at your disposal within a matter of an hour without going through background check and without having any ID number on the gun, which makes it very difficult, actually impossible for law enforcement to track. It was very important for me to make sure we pass this law in Senate and pass it in Assembly. Last year, we were able to pass it in both houses, and the governor signed it into law. So we've banned ghost guns in state of New York. They're illegal here. Whoever wants to purchase a gun, by all means, go through the process, have a background check, and purchase a gun that has a serial ID number on it. That's perfectly fine. But we wanted to make sure we ban the ghost guns, the ones that you don't have to go and have a background check, or the ones that don't have a serial number. And I'm so happy to see that even White House took our lead and has done a lot of work on the ghost gun and trying to see how they can actually make this a federal law.
Well,
That
New
should be
York State
interesting.
Senator Anna Kaplan, our dear friend, and also New York State Senator. Thank you so much for joining us today. As always, it's great to hear all these updates and just, a reminder of when you came over to US and how you are now a public servant. We're all grateful. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you'll be back. You're listening to Project Independence in You, 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We will be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to WCWP.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. You know, those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio, here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I am Kristina Liu, the producer of the program. Rebecca had to leave us, so I am stepping in as host. With the fabulous co-host Otto Los. Otto, what a show! We were off last week, and we just certainly are jam-packed this week. We came back with a bang.
Scams and all those good little things are just an ongoing education to the point where I think you have to really just handle potential scams like they exist all the time with certain basic principles. You don't react fast. If you didn't request it, don't get involved. Any credible organization is not going to try to force you to pay something. You just don't have to react, period. Don't react. Don't let people.
And I think that's the most important thing. And listen, I think the PSEG segment was so jam-packed because on top of the scams, just all the assistance and different affordability. And I think that, it's so important that we have this show that we're able to have them on where they kind of go into depth about these programs. Because I think, everyone's heard about it, on the, randomly and stuff, but they don't really know the details. And listen, I think we all know the cost of things, whether it's summertime or, heating time, you don't really catch much of a break to really investigate these programs. And I mean, I was blown away by the fact that PSEG Long Island will come in, kind of do an assessment of things in your house. And then if you need a new fridge, if that's not running efficient, I think it's so important to kind of know these things that you might not even be aware of. what's working and what's not. So I thought we got some great golden nuggets, a lot of wonderful phone numbers at the end of this video. If you're watching our video, will be all the different phone numbers. And of course, you could always call 516-869-6311 if you have any questions about that. And then, of course, the part 2 with the scams. It was great to hear, though, that the numbers are going down. And I think that's a huge part of, there's a lot of education that's going on. There's a lot of press materials that are being sent out. And I think, people are becoming more savvy, and I mean, the one thing that you really have to, I'm encouraging all of our listeners to dive into is, if you get an email, you really have to dive in and look at the specific email address. It used to be, you can kind of gauge it from, the email itself, but, you need to actually look at click on, even if it says PSEG Long Island, you need to really click on that and see what the specific, email address is, because that's
Well,
where.
if you think about it, every corporation has been used as a target or as a pawn. Like Citibank, I know I have had some spam emails.
My dad, that's one of the favorites, that my dad constantly gets messages, regarding Citibank when he has no Citibank account. That's
Yeah, well, and then when you look at the email that it came from, it's like Jojo Schmidt, Citibank Schmitz or whatever, at some weird thing that has nothing to do with Citibank.
Right.
Those are the obvious ones. But they're not all obvious.
Yeah.
You really, when I see click here to go to your account, I never do that. I'll go right to their website through my username and password on their website, not through the email. And I think that's an important
I think that is absolutely, and that's, really what struck me in the interview, with Robert's conversation with you and Rebecca is, and it's very hard because I get it. I understand that feeling. It's because you see this, you get in a panic, you immediately want to click and kind of fix it, and see what's going on. So that's really when and that's just the primary thing with any kind of scam, is just creating this urgency panic, because then you're just not really thinking straight, and that could happen to anyone. And I think that that's what's so important to really get out there to people, because I think a lot of people don't report scams, and I've seen this firsthand in working with seniors, because they're embarrassed, that they think that they were a fool, that they could have avoided it, and I think, the fact that Robert said that Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank, here's this very smart, successful woman who, fell for a scam. So I think it's important to educate it so it doesn't happen to someone else, and it can kind of be resolved if, God forbid, it did happen to you, So but step number 1, I think, Otto, is, just take a breath, and call the number that you have for yourself. So
don't react to anything right away.
Yeah. And it's hard because I get it, so, but it was really, really great. And of course, it was nice that Senator Kaplan joined us just to pop in and give us a little quick update about what's going on in the Senate. But Otto, we are fully in summer. I know you were on a family vacation. I was on a family vacation. I hope you enjoyed yourself. It looks like you and the family had a good time as always.
We did.
Where were you guys?
Kisco, New York.
Oh, that's right.
1 hour car ride.
It.
We rent this estate basically.
Yes.
And it's not inexpensive, but it's not terrible. I pay part of it, but then the rest of it gets whacked up by 20 people. So if you divide a big number by 20 people, it's not terrible. And we have the food there and the whole bit. And it's really, it's really a nice way to go. All my grandchildren were there. I became a great grandfather.
I know. I was going to bring that up too.
Last
Congratulations.
Week. Yes. From the marriage of my first grandson, Matt, who's been on this show for my birthday. So he's now a father, first time. He lives in Denver.
Right, I was going to say Colorado.
Through technology, we've been able to keep tabs on what's going on and, see enough about it. And it's another step in life.
Beautiful stuff. And I have to say, listen, I've said it before on the show. I love the Los family and the Los extended family. I think it's wonderful that you could feel the love in seeing all these pictures. Your granddaughter was sharing some videos with me as well. I was on the beach in Montauk when I got a text from your granddaughter,
She
Jen,
told me that,
with
yes.
a fabulous video, and it was perfect. And of course, we were on the beach just hanging out, and I was like, everyone, I showed it around to my entire family. I said,
Well, I
look
did
at
a
this
little bit
video.
of a dance,
You were quite the dancer, the life of the party.
Well, it
And
was like, I don't even know what kind of dance it was. You don't need lessons for what I did, which is
well, it
always
was
interesting
great.
to me, dancing. We've talked about it before. My generation really danced. All right.
Hmm.
They did waltzes and polkas and foxtrots and cha-chas and tangos. And I even at one point knew how to do the Peabody, which was an old time where you slide around. And then, I go back enough that we even remnants of the Charleston was still going on.
Oh.
When you went to an event in the
Hmm.
late 40s or 50s, they were playing old music from back.
Hmm.
That was considered old. That
Hmm.
was from the 20s and the 50s. That's like playing now 90s music in the
Hmm.
20s. Same idea. You know, me
Well,
personally,
Otto,
I cannot tell a
you
difference
were your
between.
dance, and I wish we could only put it up on the screen for all of
Well,
our
I can't
viewers
tell
to
the
see.
difference between 90s music and 22 music, but I'm sure there is a difference.
There is quite a
Yeah.
difference. But you know what, Otto, you showed you practice what you preach, because you always say how important it is to adjust to the times, to connect to your younger grandchildren, and I think your dancing did it. So I'm going to give you an A plus on that. An A for
Well,
effort with
I
your
do
dance.
know that one of my grandsons, Kieran, he's 7 years old. He was laughing like a hysterical hyena. So it was worth the effort
That's
just for that
right.
alone.
The life of the party, Otto. Well, it was really enjoyable. So
I
thank
could,
you
what
for.
would you call what I was doing? It wasn't really rap
No, I
dancing.
think you were doing like a freestyle dance. I
Yeah,
don't even think you could
freestyle.
put
That's a
it in a
good word.
particular category. I think you were just really feeling the beat there, Otto. So
Yeah, I
kudos
have
for
to
that. If
remember
anyone
that.
needs
I'm a
dance lessons,
freestyle dancer.
that's right. Tell your family, Otto. It was impressive. But on that note, we are back, and we have so many wonderful shows coming up. Next week, we are having on the Alzheimer's Association Long Island chapter. They're going to be talking about healthy living for your brain and body. Um, Listen, we always preach on this show our golden nuggets of, kind of proactive things to do to keep yourself healthy. We're always trying to do what we can, before we actually hit the emergency situation. So that should be a wonderful segment. And then we are in September, which is fully booked. We have coming up, we're having Ron Roel on. He is involved in so many different things. He's a writer. He was a writer for Newsday for many years. He's a speaker. He's a radio show host. He does things with AARP. Um, Ron's been involved with a lot of aging things, but I thought it'd be great to have him on because his podcast that he does is really about successful aging strategies, and we love that here. So I'm really looking forward to his interview. Then we're going to have on a favorite of the show, Dr. Larry Cardano, who is going to talk about hearing loss prevention and how treatment can maintain a healthy cognitive function, which is so important. I think a lot of people don't always see the connection or think about it, but hearing really correlates so much to maintaining brain health. So that will be on September 16th. And then on September 23rd, Otto, we are celebrating our 11th radio show anniversary, which is we're just moving and grooving, baby. We are working our way up to 20, Otto.
That's
And
the goal.
Supervisor Jennifer DeSena will be joining us, and there'll be some special guests popping up too. We always have a good time where we kind of recap, and it's a huge love fest. If you want a smile on your face, I encourage everyone to tune into that. And then on September 30th, which is Otto's birthday, as well, we are having Fran Green on, who is a flirting, dating, and relationship coach, an author.
That's good timing.
Yeah, right. It's to be fun. So she is going to be doing reconnecting after quarantine. I think that I was talking to her about a segment, and she wrote an article for our newsletter too, because I think everyone's kind of in this weird limbo. It was 2 years of, not really being attached to people. Everyone's got kind of, I always say, to my family that we all have like a little bit of like aftershock, from everything that went on. So it's hard to put yourself out there, and everyone still kind of has their own comfort zone and things. And it's important certainly to respect everyone's thing. So that'll be that. I'm sure there'll be other special guests that will pop on during Talk of the Town throughout September. But there's a lot going on. I'm getting so many emails from different people that want to be on in October. So there's a lot happening. And of course, if you've missed anything, you could go to the WCWP YouTube page and see all of our old shows, or the Project Independence radio show website as well. So
What about the everyday showing on the cable shows like
Yes.
Verizon? And I
Yes.
think it used to be on at 9 o'clock in the morning.
So it's
but I
on at
believe
2
it's
p.m.
been 2 p.m.
Now it's on
Okay.
2 p.m. Sometimes it changes based on programming, but the exercise classes were switched to 9 o'clock, and they had town boards you're able to watch on North Hempstead TV. So that took a 9 o'clock slot too. But I always encourage people, if you don't see it or if you want an up-to-date schedule, because they do fluctuate, is to go to www.mynhtv.com. You will see schedules pop up. And obviously, if you don't have access to a computer, you could always call 311, and we'll get you the up-to-date schedule for that day, because it can change.
So 2 o'clock is perfect. Like if
2
you're ready
o'clock
to
is
take,
usually,
if you're ready to take a nap, you can sit back and use this show as a trigger.
that's right. Well, but I feel like it's
To
too
get your
engaging. It's
nap
not that
going.
peaceful. But you know what? It's certainly important to check it out, right? So there's a lot of great information. So we had mentioned the Pioneer newsletter it's fully done. It is now in the hands of the printer, getting printed. So hopefully it should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's I'm very proud of it. We have a lot of wonderful information, and there's some tips in it for aging gracefully. There's the benefits of walking outdoors and mindfulness walking. We have some tips on boosting your health as you age. Of course, our exercise classes that are coming up in the fall. There's a little blurb about our taxi program. As I mentioned before, we have on 10 tips to reconnecting after quarantine. We have a little blurb from you, Otto, with all of your staying connected kind of tips. A lot of events. We're really excited for the fall. There's going to be a lot of different programs, but we will be resuming our advisory committee. Will be coming on September 14th. It will be at Clinton G. Martin Park at 10 a.m. So it is going to be in person and with the virtual option still, because some people want the virtual option as well. So that is September 14th.
Now, next week, Monday, Fun Day Monday.
Yes, Fun Day Monday will be the veterans, salute to the veterans will be it's the Hometown USA Salute to the Troops. There's going to be a vintage car show, a lot of entertainment. It's a great final Fun Day Monday.
That's hard to believe, isn't it? Like
Yeah, it is hard to. Unfortunately, I think they had to cancel 2 of them based upon weather, which is unfortunate because so much planning goes into all that. So,
but this is the last of the year.
This is the last hurrah
Right.
to check out. So it starts at 10 a.m. You could check out all the festivities, and of course, the usual. You could do pickleball and line dancing and fitness, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. But the Salute to Your Veterans is such a celebratory event. So I encourage everyone to check that out over at the beach, North Hempstead Beach Park. So check that out. Also, some other little things that are in the Pioneer. We have about keeping it fresh tips that we had the Cornell Cooperative Extension, who was a friend of the show, that we were all so into the segment, really about kind of how to save money by adequately storing things, which I have to say I've been putting it into practice in my own refrigerator, and it's been working out really well. So definitely check out that article with some great tips. There's a lot of golden nuggets. It's jam-packed, Otto, with a lot of bullet points and golden nuggets in this Pioneer newsletter. So, and then there's a whole back page of just upcoming events, because there's a lot going on outside Project Independence. And the the town events itself. Oh, and I'm too busy looking at Dan. I forgot that I was the host of the show. We will be back with our final segment of Project Independence and You radio show here on WCWP 88.1 FM. We'll be right back.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio, here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We are in our final segment of Talk of the Town. Otto, it's just flying by today, and I have a bazillion papers in front of me, so let's dive into that. I just need to do, there's a great cause that the Roslyn Rescue Fire Department is doing for a fundraiser for the Wounded Warriors. And they asked if I would just give a shout out. It should be a great, great program. It's on Saturday, October 8th, one night only at 7 p.m. It's a grassroots band, so there's going to be grassroots, the happenings. It's a whole bunch of little kind of doo-wop bands that will be performing, some great favorites. And it goes for a wonderful cause. It's going to be at the Roslyn High School. To get tickets, call 516-587-7187. And if you need more information, obviously you can call 311 and ask to speak to me. But I definitely think it's a great, great cause. Summer, I hate to think, once we're in the middle of August, it's of course everywhere you go now, you see fall stuff. And as much as I love a holiday, I also don't like to rush a particular season. I like to fully ride out. Summer is still in full effect. And I'm not quite ready to throw in the towel yet. And neither is North Hempstead, because there's still some summer concerts and events that are going on in the town. I want to remind people. So for this weekend, if you were listening to the show live on August 19th, I want to remind people that on Sunday, August 21st at 7 p.m. is going to be the High Tide Reggae Band. And that's going to be at North Hempstead Beach Park, which at 7 p.m. So I encourage you all to check that out. That should be a lot of fun. Reggae music is so summery and fun too. So definitely check that out. And then August 25th at 7 p.m. is Captain Jack, which is a Billy Joel tribute band. And that's going to be at Manor Haven Beach Park. So those are the two final concerts left. And then there's Tuesday Movies in the Park on August 23rd at 8 p.m. is going to be the movie Marry Me, which is a fun movie with Jennifer Lopez. So it's a good comedy. And that's going to be Clark Botanic Garden. And just if you have any information, if you need information, call 311. So
Kristina, there's next week, what day is it?
Today's the
Wednesday.
19th.
I can't make it. I'm going to be in Saratoga. But there's a thing, a situational awareness training program that you had something on. And that struck me as being like, you talk about scams and whatever. It's kind of the same thing, to be aware of various situations and how you might handle them without getting paranoid about it.
Yeah, I think that I saw that too, and I said, this is very interesting. There's been a lot of great programs that the Town of North Hempstead has been partnering with the Nassau County Police Department to do these. And so that's what Otto's referring to. It's sensual awareness training for our residents, and that is Wednesday, August 24th at 7 p.m. At Clinton G. Martin Park. This program is conducted by the Nassau County Police Department's Homeland Security Unit. You're going to learn some really key facts. It's how to make an emergency response plan, what to do if you see suspicious activity or behavior, how to spot warning signs, how to react during an active shooter or other emergency situation. And residents are going to learn the proper way. Otto, as you said, I think our instinct is to panic, which rightfully so. But there's definitely, I think it's important, we don't want everyone, obviously, it's always that fine line. I always think about that too when we talk about scam awareness too. You don't want everyone to be terrified of the world and live in a bubble and be suspicious of everything. But it is important to, have an awareness. I like to say.
Two thoughts on that one, all right? It's 7 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
So for seniors, if they could somewhere along the line have a day version of it, that would be good.
Yeah.
And the second one might be maybe a mini version of it for an advisory meeting, where
Absolutely.
hit some highlights.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I will certainly reach out to supervisors office and see who their contact is, because I think, Otto, that's a great point. It's unfortunately, you hear these horror stories on the news, and you have to, it's kind of finding a balance of accepting it and not having your head in the clouds and being aware. So I think it's so important to and these emergency response plans, are so important for people of all ages and families to really have in place, because, as we said, we don't want the emergency to happen and you are not prepared to do it, to know what to do. So I think it's great that North Hempstead really is doing these amazing programs that are really outside the box and a tough topic, but so important to do. So once again, that's August 24th at 7 p.m. at Clinton G. Martin Park. You can call 311 or 516-869-6301 to reserve your spot, because registration is required for this program. So definitely call 311 for that. Also, we have coming up, there is going to be a defensive driver safety course that is sponsored by Council Member Dennis Walsh. He will be, he's hosting it on Tuesday, October 11th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. over at Town Hall in Manhasset. It's so important, these courses. Not only, obviously everyone does these for, the lower insurance, and, you could take points off your license, but they're so important, these defensive driving classes, really, as a refresher. Every, when I renew mine, I learn something new every time. Just when you think you have it all, I know everything, it's really a great reminder. And, if you're not able to attend in person, there's plenty of online programs as well that are, you're able to do as well.
Lord knows we need defensive drivers.
Yeah, and I think it's important, because there are certain things that, stuck with me, from the defensive driving classes, that you get, everyone gets a little cocky, you're driving around, you're not really paying attention. And, especially in the summer, I've been traveling, around driving, to different places with my husband, and you really see the lack of awareness. People, I think, forget sometimes they're in a moving vehicle. They think they're kind of just like sitting on their couch and not, can kind of do whatever they want. So it's certainly important to do this. The DMV, it's a DMV approved course. You could, it will help prevent you from losing your license in the event you accrued 11 or more points on your driving record, and reduce the base rate of your auto and motorcycle insurance premiums 10% each year for 3 years. This course is a $30 fee, which covers all the materials. You can call 311 to register for that program. So I encourage people to check and make sure and see if you should get a notification if your defensive driving course is expiring, but it's always good to check, and it really does save you a lot of money, and you get some education too. So definitely check that out. I want people to mark down, because it will be here before you know it. On Sunday, September 18th is our STOP program, which we haven't, this is, I think it's been a couple of months since we had our last one. That's going to be at North Hempstead Beach parking lot from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We always talk about the STOP program on the show. Otto's a big fan of the STOP program.
Well, my suggestion is to start thinking about it now, because now you can start putting papers that you think you want shredded, electronic stuff that's laying around that you're not using anymore. And, if you start to think about it now, by the time September 18th shows up, you will have an adequate amount to get rid of.
You're right. Because, Otto, don't you have the boxes, right? The separate boxes of things?
I do. I got 3 boxes. Dump in time, shred.
I like it. See? But
The
by
dumping
doing
time
that,
is, I may want to look at it again,
yeah.
but then when I do the shredding thing, I'll go through that and dump most of it.
And I would like to, and that's what I think, to people, it seems like extra work, but in reality, it makes life a lot easier, because when the time comes, you are ready to go. It's not this mad dash trying to figure out what you want to throw out. You're doing things in a very organized fashion. So,
It's just a habit, really. It's a habit of,
yeah, but it's a good habit to start. I think
yeah, I
that's,
mean, it's not
people,
hard. It doesn't take much.
no, it doesn't. And that's, I think it's a great little, tip from you, Otto, is it's
Well,
something you can incorporate.
role play, all right?
Mhm.
Here's a piece of paper. Okay. You look at the piece of paper and you say, do I have to do anything with this?
Mhm.
Okay, I do. So you put it in an action file.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't have to do anything with this and I'll never need it again. You put it in a dump file.
Mhm.
And then maybe you think, maybe I might have to keep this for a little while, but I really don't want to put it in some file somewhere. So I put it in the dump and time
Mhm.
pile. All right. Or I know I'm never going to use it again, but I should shred it because it has stuff on it. Then I put that in a little
Mhm.
box. And I'm not, it's just a matter of how you think when you get a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And you get rid of it that way. Either you have to do something with it or you don't have to do something with it. Yeah, it's just
Well, listen.
a logical process that my brain happens to work with.
Well, and it's a good logic, and I think, you know, it's something that's not so overwhelming for everyone to kind of begin to incorporate it. Because listen, I can speak firsthand. Papers can add up really, really fast in your life. Like before you know it, it's like, where did all these papers come from? I mean, listen, and the amount of magazines that come to my house, clearly they're targeting me. They know I love a good magazine. Could really stack up if you don't recycle it.
Do you read all those cruise books that come in?
No, those I get rid of, because I'm not much of a cruise kind of
No,
gal.
but we get at least one a day. I'm
Yeah,
not exaggerating. And they spend a fortune on those books.
they're
And they're
thick,
very
right?
attractive and nice,
They
but
are.
right in the
Yeah.
garbage.
So it's important because they really, it's good that we're in a time now where a lot of things are paperless. You can do paperless bills and whatnot, but I still feel like I accumulate a lot of paper coming to my house. So it's important to do something like Otto did. It's like a little, it's a little, you shined a moment on a golden nugget. And, this stop program, there's so many things you could do, not just papers, obviously, for shredding, but that's a great part of it. You can bring your aerosols, your household chemicals, pesticides, disinfectants, fertilizers, bulbs, thermostats, rechargeable and lithium batteries, TVs, computers. And then, of course, there is the Big Brother, Big Sister Long Island donations you can do, which is a lot of gently used clothing and stuffed animals and sport. I mean, the list goes on and on. I could run out of breath going into everything. So you can call 311 or check the North Hempstead website for the details on that. But what's really great is that you just put everything in your car and you can drive from station to station and someone will, remove it from your vehicle. So definitely important. And it's a great reason to kind of declutter, get yourself ready for the new season. So that is the STOP program. And then we are having a Shed the Meds program, which is your pharmaceutical drop-off program. Otto, have you ever been to a Shed the Med program?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Not long ago, actually. That's another one. What do? You have all these medications. They say, okay, increase it or decrease it from 20 milligrams to 10 milligrams. Okay, so now you got a supply of 10 milligrams. I have a box for that. Meds not used anymore, which is fact. We don't, and that builds up pretty damn fast.
Yeah. It does, and there's certain things, that you think, oh, I'm sure like, it's still good. It's so important to check the expiration dates of that. Not that it's particularly going to, harm you, but not necessarily. Listen, we don't know. It depends on what it is. But I think a lot of times, you're losing the potency of, whatever the medication is. And it's so important to get rid of these things safely. And the fact that there's a Shed the Meds program that we're doing with Nassau County and the Nassau County Police Department. It's going to be on October 8th at Michael J. Tully parking lot, which is over in New Hyde Park. which is very close to you, Otto. So you can just run on over there and drop off your meds. The accepted items will include prescriptions, prescription patches, prescription medications, ointments, over-the-counter meds, vitamins, sample medications, and even medications for your pets. The only things that they're not accepting are needles and sharps, aerosol cans, thermometers, ointments, hydrogen peroxide inhalers. Those are the kind of things that aren't going to be accepted. But it's a great way to kind of go through, because that's another thing that just kind of accumulates so fast. You see all of a sudden you open your cabinet and you're like, where, I have vitamins, and there's the sample medication things, whether they're over the counter things. They come in little baggies that you'll get as a free sample for something. So it's important to really just get rid of these things safely. So that is October 8th at Michael J. Tully Park. It is crazy that we are talking about fall things, but we are approaching, so definitely check that out as well. I just wanted to tell people also that our caregiver support group is going to remain virtual as per the members' request. It's easier for them to actually attend because they are caregivers. So that is going to be on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. So that is going to continue through the fall.
I saw there's the coping with loss support group is one that you have. And I
Yes.
thought about that because unfortunately I have a friend who suffered a stroke. And the loss support group, really, if you think about it, it's not like just for complete loss. It could be you've lost a person because of dementia, or you've lost them because they had a stroke or whatever. You really don't have that person anymore. And, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on the fact that I think loss is beyond somebody just dying. There's
Well, it's
people
interesting because
are
that's a
lost when
topic.
they're here.
Yeah, and that's a topic, we've certainly talked about a lot when we meet with our social workers and nurses, because loss is something, especially over the past 2 years, I think that can apply to so many different things. So Krista's probably going to be doing different sessions. This first coping with loss support group is 6 sessions, and it's really focused on grieving the loss of a loved one, from death, because we were discussing it, and there's a lot of different ways and feelings that kind of go with different forms of loss. So she really wanted to tailor it to particular needs, so it's able to balance. But anyone who is, because I think that's such an important point, Otto, that you mentioned, to really reach out to 311, and you can get connected to our social workers who can work through you or meet with you and set up some kind of plan to go over these things, because I think that, I just encourage people, our social workers and nurses are really the angels of Project Independence, who are out there, and even through COVID found ways to connect to our residents. So it's just important to reach out and get help, because there are services out there, and it's certainly evident on this show. There are plenty of services out there that can help you. So why struggle alone? So that's a new program, Otto, that will be on in fall. That's going to be at the Hillside Public Library on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. So we're excited to be launching that. And then we also
That's
have
every Wednesday.
It's going to be every Wednesday. Yeah, and always call 311, because obviously based on holidays and stuff, there might be some days. But it's going to be only for 6 sessions, this first installment of it. Then we have a program called This Life of Mine, which is sharing and creating new memories through journaling. This is another group a lot of seniors expressed interest in. So that's going to be on Mondays at 11:30 a.m. at the Westbury Public Library. This is going to be for 8 sessions, and it's a guided journaling group. There's these books that we found that it really gives you a play-by-play of kind of how to do this, because a lot of people struggle getting started with it, but it's a wonderful book that you will get. Space is limited for this program, so if you are interested, you need to register for it.
That's to me a good one. As you get older, you realize, you look back, and there's a lot of people that have passed through the world that you knew but a lot of the people who are around now don't know.
Mhm.
And you have the knowledge. Like when you watch a show like Finding Your Roots, if you ever
Mhm.
watch that, these are people who all of a sudden they want to know where they came from.
Yeah,
And you have the ability as you get
to do
older
that. That's
to
right.
try to retain that knowledge for
Absolutely,
future
Otto. But we
generations.
are unfortunately at the end of our show. I see Dan buzzing in. But please call 311 or 516-869-6311 for any of this information. Thank you, everyone, for listening or watching. This is Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Have a great week.